right, welcome to another episode of Choose a Career. Today I'm here with Joel from Medtronics. Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
All right, and he is an engineer. Now tell us a little bit, first of all, about your company and what y'all do.
So Medtronics is a very large company that deals with a lot of medical different products. A lot of people know us from our diabetes monitors, if people have diabetes, other things like heart monitors, elements like that, even more concerning areas like Parkinson's, we have deep brain stimulation. My particular area of engineering is spinal injury, so I design spinal implants.
Okay, you were talking about, if we're talking about engineers in general, there are a whole host of different fields for engineers. Why don't you just briefly touch on the multiple things that an engineer has to work on?
Yeah, so you can be the number of different traditional roles as engineering. One of them is mechanical, which is me. Mechanical, like things that move, right? I love things with motors, engines. I don't care if it's a hot rod. I don't care if it's a string trimmer. If it has a motor in it, I'm interested. You can do things like dishwashers, or winches for a truck would be an element in mechanical engineering. Or you can be in electrical. Electrical would be things like your phone. Computers, wiring a house. How do you figure out these circuits and the breaker systems to securely wire a house, right? You have to have it not only there, but it also has to be secure. Other areas are civil. These are the top three: mechanical, electrical, and civil. Civil are buildings, structures, bridges, roads.
Draining those roads.
Yes, sir.
All right, so tell us, I'm assuming with so many diverse directions for engineering that the pay scales are kind of all over the place, depending on where you work and what type of field you're working in. If a student is interested in being an engineer, the first step would be to choose what direction you're wanting to go in.
Yes. So like pay scales, like starting salary for mechanical engineers, I think out of the University of Memphis right now is somewhere in the mid 70s.
Okay.
So, and a lot of those areas are pretty similar. You could get into the specialized areas like petroleum engineering, which is going to be higher, nuclear engineering, which is also higher. So there's other areas that you could be involved with, but you could also take some of those areas and then specialize like quality engineering. Quality engineers don't usually make quite as much as like a design engineer.
Right.
But if that's your skill set, you want to operate on your skill set more than the money, right?
Right.
Because you're going to be happy. And the first question I always ask recent grads, I always say, what is it that you like? And operate your career path based upon what you like. If you don't like it, who wants to go to work in the morning, right? So first of all, find out what it is you like. Then take the skill set you have and the academic knowledge and capabilities you have and marry them together and look at a career based upon those three aspects, that triangle, to create a path for yourself and get some counseling.
Some great advice. Now, you said there's three areas of engineering. I'm assuming each of those areas requires a different degree. Is that how it works?
Yeah, so those would be the standard degrees you'd get at, say, Ole Miss or University of Mississippi. And those would be the mechanical, the electrical, or the civil are your top traditional three. And then they have specialties off of that.
For students in the Mississippi or the Mid-South area, throw out a couple of schools that are going to be good for specializing in those areas.
Well, I think Ole Miss and University of Mississippi are both excellent. I think Mississippi State has a little higher expectation and is a little more central and puts a little more emphasis. University of Memphis has a strong engineering school. If you want to go from beyond that, you could go to anything you want, Princeton or Stanford or MIT. Any of these other schools, but those schools are very strong here.
Okay. Is there anything you'd like to tell us about your company and what y'all offer for students who might want to get into the engineering field?
So right now what we do offer is an opportunity to come in and do some training in college. So after your sophomore year, we could bring you in for a summer or a whole semester and help train you and help give you experience in different aspects, which would help you make a decision later on which direction, the different things. It makes you more prepared once you've walked in and you've seen these different things. So you can say, wow, boy, I really like the opportunity I saw in quality. quality, or I like the opportunity I saw in manufacturing. I love taking it and actually making the piece of metal from doing the manufacturing. Or in quality, I love inspecting to make sure that the part is truly what it is, right? We have to not only make the part right, we have to make the right part. So you have to make the purpose of the thing correct, but it also has to be made correctly. Well, in terms of engineering, it's so broad, and you have to give a lot of different things perspective. And the advice I like to give students is start interviewing people. I was a very poor student in my first couple of years. I didn't even know what the word the letters GPA meant until the end of my junior year, and so I started engaging in this process very late, and I instantly fell in love with the biomedical field. And because I fell in love with it, there's very few of us, in the United States. And so I had to find a person that did this. And so I asked my parents, hey, do you know any engineers that I can kind of get to? And they really didn't know anybody. So I said, do you have a friend that has a friend? Right. And so I started working through this channel. And finally I found an engineer in the field that I was interested in. And I said, hey, listen, I want to talk to a recent grad, someone that's been out 2 or 3 years, and I want to have lunch with them. I'll buy them lunch. If you offer to buy anybody lunch, they're going to go to lunch with you, right? I mean, I'll buy your lunch. It's going to cost you $20, right? Right. It's the best $20 you will ever spend in your life. And go and take that person out to lunch. Go to Google. What's the 10 best interview questions? And I ask them simple questions. What do you do during the day? What do you like most to do? What do you not like about your job? What is it that you now do that you had no anticipation that you would have done from someone from my age when you were in my shoes? What is it that I could learn from your daily experience from being an outsider? What is the attitude and the perspective and the personality that does best in your, what are the skill sets, and it varies by these different engineering professions, right? A quality engineer has a different personality than a development engineer. A development engineer is more artistic, the idea of developing patents is maybe really important. I want to develop a patent. I want my name recognized. Or maybe like in civil engineering, if you go into any building, you'll see a plaque and it'll have the civil engineer's name on the plaque. And so maybe for you, one of the most important thing is just connecting with your community. And you want to make a lasting impact on my community. And maybe that's an area that really interests you and will excite you in the future.
Students, if you're interested in being an engineer, you can go to the counseling complex or you can visit our career coach in the library.